What's going on YouTube? So today you're probably thinking that we're in a C or E-Class coupe, and you'd be correct.
This is the all-new 2024 Mercedes-Benz CLE, which basically combines the old C-Class coupe and the E-Class into one.
So is this the best of both worlds to make an elegant two-door? Let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's start things off by opening up the long hood and checking out what's underneath. So you have three different versions you can get. What we have is the CLE 450. That is a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder, making 375 horsepower paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Combined fuel economy on board will be 26 miles per gallon.
Now, of course, later on in this review, we will be taking out this sexy coupe on the road, and we'll be getting things such as our sound level reading so we can see how quiet it is. Additionally, we'll also be talking about pricing and 2 new elements we're integrating into our reviews: predicted resale value and reliability. So you'll want to stay tuned for that.
But for now, let's go ahead and close up the hood, because a big part of this experience is the exterior design, and then we'll also check out the inside. Now, like we were just saying, a big part of why you want to buy a coupe is because you want that elegant design, and this new CLE certainly delivers on that. It really has a great look. It's a very conventional Mercedes design, which I think is what makes it look very, very elegant. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is the CLE 450, which means that it is going to come standard with the AMG line. That gives you a little bit more aggressive elements in terms of the face, but it's never going to be too bold or in your face overall. As you can see, nice signature look to this. You can also get the night edition as well if you want to black out a lot of these elements up here in the front. Now, in terms of our lighting, you do have standard full LED lights, as you would expect. These are projector lights. You have the daytime running light and turn signal indicator across the top. You can further upgrade these as well to the Mercedes digital light system if you want something a little bit more advanced. Now, of course, as we head to the rear, you'll notice you've got that nice sloped look kind of heading into the back.
Yeah, this thing looks so good here in person. It really continues that overall very elegant kind of S-Class coupe design. Now, as far as some of the design elements, I am going to go ahead and break that down. We just kind of have a smooth trunk lid here, no spoiler or anything on this particular version. And one of the things that I want to point out is our taillights, because these are very premium taillights. And Drew's hopping inside to see if all the elements are LED. We have an LED brake light, LED reverse light, and an amber LED turn signal indicator. Beautiful taillight design. I want to point out this piece is actually always black, so keep in mind if you get a model that's not black, this will have a little bit of contrast. And then down here at the very bottom, we have a very beautiful diffuser. Here on the 450 model, we do have some silver exhaust outlets on the outside edges. If you choose an AMG version, you'll get quad exhaust outlets.
Now, in terms of your wheel options, you have many choices between 18 and 21-inch alloy wheels. We have 19s on today's example. I love this multi-spoke design. Obviously, as you can see, you have a lot of nice contrasting elements, and I think this just overall looks very good with the black paint and the chrome accents that you see around the rest of the vehicle. As we come up here to the mirrors, of course, fully loaded with all the features that you expect. So you do have a blind spot monitoring, you have heating, power folding, and auto dimming on the driver's side.
Now, we said at the introduction that this is kind of a replacement to the C-Class coupe and the E-Class coupe. And as far as the overall vehicle length, it comes in at 191 inches long, which places it a little bit more in terms of length like the previous E-Class coupe. And I'm very happy that you have that length, because it really just gives it an overall very sexy look here at the side. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, Mercedes is including 2 of your active features as standard equipment on the CLE. Furthermore, you can add a driver's assistance package that will add in all the extra goodies that you're probably wanting. But guys, there is a sexy cabin on the inside too, so let's check that out. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's go ahead and check out the interior. First, of course, we'll take a look at the key fob. This is the latest Mercedes key fob. Big fan of this key fob. It's made predominantly of this real metal trim. It looks nice and feels good in the hand as well. It is going to have a standard smart entry system for the CLE. So you just reach behind the handle and that will unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward. Now obviously the door itself is going to be quite lengthy because this is a coupe after all. And go ahead and take a look at the interior. You have a very nice look. The overall design theme is going to be inspired by the C-Class predominantly, but let's go ahead and first talk about our seat options and color choices. So you are going to start with MB Tex. That is what our seat is today. So this is going to be a synthetic leather. That being said, it has a great look to it still, very realistic feeling as well, and you have perforation and stitching details. You can also option on real leather, and you can further option on Napa leather, and you have a wide variety of choices, but this brown I think is very fitting for a vehicle like this. In terms of the seat adjustments, those are going to be over on the door trim as with all Mercedes products. These are the new touch capacitive controls here for the adjustments. Lots of adjustments here. You also have memory seats built in. We have the standard heated seats. Ventilated seats are also offered as well. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that we're fully inside, let's get into the rest of the cabin materials. Spoiler alert, they are very nice, as you'd expect for Mercedes. So over here on that long door trim, the whole thing is going to be finished in a nice brown leather material through there. We have leather all across the upper part of the door trim, and that is going to continue across the entire upper dash. So we've got the MB Tex full leatherette dashboard, even way up there next to the windshield. Through the center section, we have an open pore wood. You do have a wide variety of different wood and aluminum choices, as you would expect. And then our center tunnel here is going to be finished in a piano black. But let's go ahead and fire it up. Now that it's fired up, let's jump into the individual elements of the interior. As always, let's start off with our gauge cluster. Just like a lot of Mercedes products, we have the kind of standalone 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, completely reconfigurable, so you can select whatever type of information you really want to be emphasizing, including a giant full screen map. Additionally, if you choose the Pinnacle, the top trim level, that will also give you a head-up display. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we have the AMG line steering wheel. So as you can see, this is a very beautifully done steering wheel. I love this design. It's flat bottom. We have the perforated thick bolsters here on the side. Feels good in the hand. And then you've got these kind of touch capacitive areas here for your various controls that you can actually see through. The wheel itself is going to be power, tilt, and telescoping across the lineup. Steering wheel heating is also offered as well. Now, let's take a look at interior storage. Like I mentioned, some of the elements of the design are going to be very familiar if you've been in a C-Class. So same kind of look here to our center console, same size as well. So we have 6 donuts loaded inside of this console because we like to do the donut test here at Car Confections to see how many fit inside. That is not bad for a 2-door coupe, that's for sure. There's also a couple USB-Cs inside of this console as well. And then if we push back on this piano black trim here, you're going to find 2 cup holders inside. You can slightly resize those as well. You've got a storage cubby right through there. And then kind of deep down in there is where your wireless phone charging pad is going to be. But don't fret, the car will remind you if you accidentally leave your phone inside of there when you get out. Now, of course, in typical Mercedes fashion, your shifter is going to be up here. It's an electronic column mount. Just pull down for drive. You do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel as well. Press up for reverse, and when you go into reverse, since we have the standard version, we're going to see the standard backup camera. It does have active trajectory, and you have front and rear parking sensors with the visualization over there. You can get a 360 camera if you prefer, and we also have the parking assistance feature as well, and that's going to be standard equipment. Now let's kind of turn our attention over here to our main display. So This is an 11.9 inch display, and inside of this whole area is where really a lot of functions of the vehicle are going to live. For example, your climate controls are located right there inside the display. These are going to be a dual zone automatic setup, and some of your additional functionality will be inside of that menu. You also have this panel of buttons that runs along the bottom for your drive modes. You also have a fingerprint reader to sync your different settings into the vehicle. And then we also have our volume slider, which controls a standard 15-speaker Burmester sound system. I'm having some technical difficulties, so I can't pair my phone to the system right now to give you guys a sound sample, but just like in other Mercedes products, this is going to be a really nice sounding sound system. Really fills up the cabin well, and you have beautiful metal speaker grills, which is something that both Mason and I really appreciate. Now, in terms of the overall infotainment experience, this is the latest version of MBUX, so it has, well, all the latest and greatest things. You have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, which are two things that a lot of people are looking for. We also have a built-in navigation system, which is very crisply rendered here on this high-resolution display, and performance is snappy. Now, I always love these beautiful vents that Mercedes puts on a lot of their models. They have cool ambient lighting inside of them, and of course, this model is going to have a lot of ambient lighting, just like every Mercedes product does. Up top, we've got an auto-dimming mirror. HomeLink remotes are built into the bottom of it. And you also have a swipe panel, which controls our standard panoramic sunroof. That's right, you actually still get the wide sunroof even on the coupe body, and it does open up.
Now this Mercedes CLE has actually some pretty impressive things when it comes to the rear seat area, so let's go ahead and dive into that. So first of all, in order to get back here, Mercedes has made it quite easy. You just locate this little leather strap right here that will tilt the seat forward, and as soon as it tilts forward, the seat's going to automatically slide up and out of the way. I also want to point out, I don't think Drew was able to mention this earlier, but the seat belts will actually use a mechanism here to put it up to a very easy position for you to reach. So that's a very nice Mercedes element. Now, hopping into the rear seat area itself. Wow. This is not bad at all. Now, we do actually have official legroom and headroom figures from Mercedes-Benz, and we're sitting at a little over 34 inches of legroom and about 36 inches of headroom. That is a very good amount of space for a coupe. And, you know, someone who's 5'9" like myself, this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". There's going to be plenty of room. As a matter of fact, I brought my ruler with me, and we're still sitting at about 7 inches of additional knee space. That's pretty awesome. And then my feet can also slide up underneath the seat. The only thing I will say is that the headroom, if you lean all the way back at 5'9", I'm definitely scraping the ceiling when it comes to the headroom figures. Now, as far as features are concerned, we have a nice little storage cubby here in the middle. I also noticed that you can actually fold this center part down, so if you kind of want an armrest, you can do it like that. We have vents here in the center, and as far as other features, you're not really going to have very many, but I do want to point out that they didn't cheap out on materials. We have a leatherette on this whole upper part, nice metal speaker grille, ambient lighting, and some more brown leather. So overall, this is a pretty good rear seat. And the practicality does not end when it comes to the rear seat, because let's also check out the trunk. In order to open, you just press in the Mercedes emblem, and check this out, guys. I know when I first experienced a CLE earlier this morning, when I opened this area up, I was like, wow, that is a ton of space. As far as the official measurement, it's about 14.8 cubic feet. So honestly, guys, that's that's a really good space figure. I mean, that's going to be about as much as what you're going to get on like a regular sedan, like a C-Class and an E-Class when it comes to cargo capacity. Very impressive when it comes to that. Now, I already mentioned that the seats do fold. They fold 40-20-40 split folding. And then I'll go ahead and get the cargo length measure for those of you who may want to haul a little something. About 41 inches is going to be your overall cargo length. And as far as your cargo opening is concerned, we're sitting at around 34 inches wide. Then underneath of the floor, you're going to have quite a bit of additional space under here. However, there's not going to be a spare tire. And as you can see, we do have a fully power trunk. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new Mercedes CLE. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, that was 60 miles per hour in the CLE 450. So like we mentioned on the outside, there's 3 varieties of this. The 450 is going to be basically your middle version of this model, and it's going to come with the more powerful inline 6 cylinders. So it's a 3-liter inline 6 turbocharged. It also has EQ boost technology, which is a mild hybrid setup that does also have the ability to temporarily add a little bit of power as well. And altogether, the power rating is 375 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah. And that acceleration there just showed you how quick this model is. It certainly, when you choose the CLE 450, kind of transforms the vehicle into a pretty quick performance choice. As far as the 0 to 60 on this, it's going to be 4.2 seconds for the CLE 450, and that's very fast. It's actually going to be a 2-second faster 0 to 60 over the base CLE 300. So we're talking about very significant performance upgrades choosing this 450 over the 300. As a matter of fact, that will have a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. It's the same powertrain setup that we've seen in a lot of other Mercedes products, including the GLC, the GLE, all of those vehicles. That makes 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. Definitely not a bad motor, so if you don't really care much about performance, you'll be fine with that. However, I really love the additional power that you get on this inline 6, as well as the level of refinement you're going to get here. It sounds a lot more refined than the 4-cylinder, that's for sure.
Yeah, you know, we've experienced this setup in other Mercedes products, and this inline 6 with the mild hybrid, they really work together so seamlessly. Everything is just very, very smooth, and it is a quick, quiet, refined vehicle. And as a matter of fact, not to jump the gun a little bit, but they are offering the AMG 53 version of this, and it has a very similar powertrain, just with a little bit more power. And the 0 to 60 on this 450 is nearly the same as in that model.
Yeah, 4-second 0 to 60 for that, and has 443 horsepower. So honestly, I would probably opt for the CLE 450, but if you want all the performance bits, the 53 AMG model will be coming out to satisfy those of you who are thirsting for that.
While we're kind of waiting in traffic and stopping at stoplights, hopefully the camera could maybe see the gauge cluster a little bit here with the tachometer. Just like other models with the EQ boost, it actually is able to shut the engine off well before you even come to a stop, just kind of overall adding to that refinement. When you take your foot off the brake, it's back on. I mean, you can't feel a thing, and it's back off again. Like, this thing cycles actually the engine on and off very, very frequently. That's one of the things that helps it get good fuel economy, which we'll talk about later. But overall, it's not something that you're going to feel at all. You can't hear it, you can't feel it. It's incredibly smooth.
Still the best in the auto industry. We review a lot of cars. This EQ boost system, A+.
As far as the transmission is concerned, you have a 9-speed automatic transmission. This is the same one Mercedes uses in a wide variety of their products, and it's a nice and smooth one, especially when you're just, you know, driving around in the normal mode, or actually we're in the comfort mode right now, which basically is the default for this model. Very, very smooth. The shifts fire off seamlessly, and if you put your foot down, you don't wait too long at all to get more power.
Yeah. I also want to point out 4MATIC all-wheel drive is standard equipment on the CLE, which does mean that you're just going to have different fuel economies based on the engine configuration. This 450 model is rated at 23, 33, 26, which I think is very impressive for the amount of power that you're getting. But now that we've kind of cleared out of traffic and we're just cruising down the highway, I want to talk about ride quality. This Mercedes CLE is very impressive in this department. I think it really takes the E part of its name and takes that seriously here with this. It rides very, very good. This is definitely a big step up over what you're going to get on something like a C-Class, and I'm very happy with the seats, first of all, and the suspension I think is just tuned very comfortably. When you hit a bump, it does a fantastic job of soaking it up. It really feels like those more premium Mercedes Mercedes products, when it comes to the ride quality. All right, guys, I found a pretty cool button, Progressive Sport Sound button. It makes this a C63 instead of a 450. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never found this button before.
I mean, it's fake, but it's fun.
CLE 450, CLE 63 AMG.
Sounds like a hot rod.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, you're not fooling anyone on the outside, but you know, it's nice for the time being. Okay, let's get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. Let me make sure the fan speed is on 1. We'll put it back into the comfort setting as well. .2 decibels is our official Car Confections sound level reading for this all-new Mercedes-Benz CLE. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how that compares to the competition because we can actually go to carconfections.com/sound level readings. And on our website, we posted all of the cars that we review on this channel, which is a lot of cars. We can see how this coupe compares to other luxury coupes. Now, it obviously depends on what you compare this vehicle to, but it is going to land it as one of the quietest options as far as sports cars we've tested out on this channel. So certainly a very refined and Mercedes-like experience when it comes to the sound level. Now, obviously, if you turn on the the fancy AMG exhaust setup that's pumping into the cabin, I assume that would kind of increase your amount of noise in here, but it may be worth it. It's a pretty cool sound.
I'm going to go back into the sport mode as we come up to this corner so we can talk a little bit about dynamics as well. Now, Mason said, you know, sports car was the category we put it in. That's because we haven't reviewed a great deal of coupes. They're not as common as they used to be. This is not, in this configuration at least, a very sporty coupe. It's definitely going to keep the focus on luxury. You know, when you look at the outside, you think it's going to be a very elegant drive experience, and it is. You know, it's a very smooth and refined, classy way to drive when you're behind the wheel. The steering is going to be light in that default setup, as Mason mentioned. The ride is phenomenal. And when we go into the sport mode, we don't have adaptive dampers on this model or anything like that. So you're going to have a decent amount of body roll, but the steering is nice and responsive.
All right, and as far as a few other things to talk about, let's do our slam dunk and air ball. Drew, do you want to kick us off with the slam dunk?
Our slam dunk today is going to be something that really surprised us about this, and that's that you could say for a two-door, it's actually pretty practical.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting that when we first came to pick this up, but you find out that you actually have quite a bit of rear seat space, more than enough for really a normal sized adult to make a short trip. You also have a pretty big trunk.
Yeah.
And, you know, overall, even though like you just have two doors, but you have a very C-Class experience, you could say, like the sedan.
Yeah, and as far as the air ball is concerned, we had to really start nitpicking, and if we're nitpicking as far as the materials are concerned, we don't like that this piece through here is a hard touch plastic. It just seems a little bit odd to us, you know, where your knee kind of hits as a passenger or a driver, you know, it's not going to be hard touch, whereas like the upper dashboard and even way up here is covered in a nice leatherette. It seems odd that this part is not at least a soft touch plastic. And for your warranty, you do have a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic and powertrain warranty. But now let's go ahead and talk about the pricing as well as our resale value and reliability estimates. And how much is all this luxury going to cost you? Well, for the base CLE 300, it's going to be a little over 57 grand. If you want the CLE 450, it's going to up it to about 65,650. When you add a handful of options like what we've done on this tester, we're sitting at 69,700 as tested today. And if you're looking to buy a Mercedes-Benz CLE or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, why you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new ride. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealer negotiation. A link to that is provided in our video description. Now it's time for us to discuss potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now, first up, we're going to talk about resale value. Now, as an economic graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this CLE's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years, this vehicle will be worth around 41% of its original value, or around $28,000, and around 17% of its original value after 10 years.
We've also done the same for potential reliability by making the Combined Reliability Index, which is a combination of reliability data from trusted automotive sources. Based on this ranking, Mercedes is rated slightly below average in relation to all other vehicle makes.
If you'd like to check out all of our data about reliability and resale values, as well as learn about our methodology, make sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a big decision, and you want to make sure that you're making a good decision, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle makes. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching one of the first in-depth reviews of this all-new 2024 Mercedes-Benz CLE. If you did enjoy this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help us get access to vehicles like this, as well as give us the time of day that we can come out and review some of the first models out there. So please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. It makes this all possible. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.